So Ipiales, it has a lot more kind of influence from Ecuador, colder climate, and the people are, I mean, there's a lot of people from Ecuador that live there and stuff like that. As far as kind of jobs there, the majority of people that live in Ipiales, what they do for their job is they'll kind of go to Ecuador and transport stuff from Ecuador to Colombia to be sold in Colombia. So stuff that's kind of cheaper in Ecuador. So maybe stuff like rice and gasoline. They'll kind of transport that stuff from Ecuador to Colombia to be sold, and that's kind of what they do for their job. Yeah, I mean, Ipiales, I would say it's less dangerous than at least half the areas in Cali. There's some areas in Cali that aren't dangerous at all, but Ipiales as a whole, it's pretty safe. Nothing extremely dangerous there. In Pasto, there's a little bit. I mean, you'll learn the areas that are more dangerous and stuff. But yeah, I always felt pretty safe in Ipiales walking around, even after dark when we're walking back to our apartment at night and stuff. One experience that I can share from Ipiales. So there was a couple protests that went on when I was there serving my mission. Happened twice, and they kind of do the same thing. Kind of the protests that they would do. So they block the roadways from city to city. No one can get through. And that kind of blocks like the food trucks and stuff as well. So that happened. The first time it happened, they actually had to fly the missionaries out of Popayan. They had to fly them from Popayan to Bogota and then Bogota to Cali because they were kind of just like running out of food and everything. But luckily, kind of like right after they flew them out, then the protest was stopped. So it didn't get too bad. And then the second time, I was in Ipiales, and they were having that protest, and we're actually supposed to, one of the Area 70 was coming to talk to us as a mission, but we weren't able to kind of go make it to the meeting because travel was blocked and stuff, and it's more dangerous during those times. So there was a period of 3 days that we weren't allowed to leave our apartments. And then I had been there for 5 months at that time, and I lived kind of in our apartment where we lived. There was 4 of us missionaries living in an apartment. It was right in the middle of the city. And it's not a big city, but right in the middle of the city, a place they call the Galleria. And that's where all the trucks come from other cities and drop stuff off and stuff like that. A little bit more dangerous there. But I mean, since I had to live there for 5 months and stuff, people had seen me walking around. They like knew that missionaries and American missionaries lived there. And just because of kind of like more dangerous those times and maybe anti-American sentiments and stuff, like they actually sent me and my companion to go live with our zone leaders for 3 or 4 days there. So yeah, we were just in our zone leader's apartment for 4 days. Couldn't really leave. We could leave to go get lunch from a member and then come back, and that was about it. It was kind of a tough time in the mission. At the end of those 4 days, I remember being with my zone leaders, and I was good friends with one of them. I was talking to him all day, and then he kind of got a call at the end of the day, kind of notifying him that was one of the assistants on the phone, and yeah, I saw my zone leader. He kind of like fell to the ground and started crying. And I was like, oh no, like one of his family members at home like died or something tragically. But turns out one of the missionaries in Cali had been shot. So it was a tough time for the mission. But it was kind of a, I don't know if I want to say a fluke thing, but it wasn't really a bullet that was intended for the missionary. They were just in their apartment, like fixing lunch because they didn't have lunch that day, and they had their door cracked open because it's so hot and there's no air conditioning or anything, and a bullet just went and got in through the cracked open door and happened to hit him. So obviously that was tough, but not something that they should be worried about. Like being shot, it's not something I would be worried about, not something that happens often. But yeah, just, I don't know, I would say anywhere you are, just kind of like, as long as you're being obedient, following the rules and stuff, for the most part, you should be okay. You might have, I mean, that was only one time it happened in our mission that we had to stay in kind of our zone leader's house for 3 or 4 days, and then after that everything kind of went back to normal. So I'd say one good place to go visit in Ipiales is a big Catholic cathedral. It's called Las Lajas. Definitely go visit there if you're in Ipiales or in Pasto. A lot of missionaries from Pasto will actually kind of make the 2-hour bus trip on a P-Day to go see it. Super cool cathedral. It's right, they built it right in between a ravine of two mountains. So it's kind of, you can Google it, Las, L-A-S, and then L-A-J-A-S, Las Lajas. And you'll see pictures of it. So it's definitely a cool place to go visit if you're in Pasto or Ipiales.